I always know when Victoria is about to announce her next dazzling success. It's like clockwork, family dinner, wine glasses brimming, and that self-satisfied smirk stretching across her face, the one that makes me want to hurl my napkin across the table. I'm Esther, the sister nobody notices, the one who fades into the background while Victoria effortlessly claims center stage, as if she were born to it. Tonight is no different, except this time, I have a secret of my own, one that could unravel her perfect world. I have the most incredible news, Victoria chimes, tapping the rim of her wine glass with a manicured nail. The crystal hums, pulling every eye in the room toward her. Mom leans in, her face already glowing with pride. I take another sip of my Merlot, biting back a knowing smile. Elliot and I just bought the most breathtaking estate on Maple Grove. Victoria's voice soars with excitement. It's flawless for the wedding, the grand staircase, the dazzling chandelier, the sprawling gardens. It's like stepping into a dream. I nearly choke on my wine. The estate on Maple Grove. My estate on Maple Grove. Oh, sweetheart, that's marvelous, Mom gushes, reaching for Victoria's hand. I always knew you were destined for something grand. Didn't I say so, Esther? You did, I reply evenly, every chance you got. Show them, darling, Elliot encourages, his arm draped around Victoria like a designer accessory. He's exactly the type of man everyone expected her to end up with, wealthy, polished, and utterly devoted to her every whim. Victoria eagerly scrolls through her phone, displaying photos I know far too well. Look at these marble countertops, and the original hardwood floors, kept in pristine condition. They certainly were, I murmur, recalling the painstaking hours I spent researching restoration companies and historic preservation techniques. Esther, you'll help plan the wedding, won't you? Victoria asks, not so much a request as a demand. You're so good with details. Of course, I reply smoothly, my gaze flickering to Jonah. He's the only one here who knows the truth, and the struggle to maintain a neutral expression is written all over his face. We're thinking June, Victoria continues, the gardens will be in full bloom. And, June? I cut in, pulse quickening, that's only 3 months away. Well, when you know what you want, she lifts her hand, her diamond ring catching the candlelight, and the house is already perfect, we won't need to change a thing. Jonah coughs pointedly, not even check with the owner first? Victoria frowns, we are the owners, the paperwork finalizes next week. I clench my napkin beneath the table, my grip turning my knuckles white. If only she knew I had signed those papers 6 months ago, that every inch of that estate belongs to me. A toast, Mom declares, lifting her glass, to Victoria and Elliot, and their stunning new home. The glasses rise, except for Jonah's. He watches me carefully as I lift mine, feeling the weight of the truth pressing down. Actually, Victoria adds, I was thinking Esther could handle the catering arrangements. You're so great with budgeting. And there it is, the subtle jab, another reminder of my place beneath her. Something inside me shifts, a lock snapping open. Of course, I say sweetly, after all, no one knows that house better than I do. Victoria laughs, dismissing my comment without a second thought. Oh, please, you've only been there once, with me, last week. If she only knew how many nights I'd walked through those halls, envisioning the renovations, picturing a future where I finally step into the light. But soon, she would. Let her plan, let her bask in the glow of her perfect fairy tale. Because when June arrives, she'll finally understand what it feels like to be the one left in the shadows. And I'll be the one holding the deed to her fantasy. More dessert? Mom offers, already slicing Victoria a generous portion of cheesecake. No, thanks, I say softly, savoring the sweetness of my secret instead. The next morning, Jonah slides a coffee across the table. You should have seen your face when she started talking about the champagne fountain, he says with a grin. I thought you were going to explode. I almost did. I sink into my favorite chair, watching the steam curl from my cup. She wants to put it right where I planned my reading nook. Can you believe that? You know how to end this, right? Jonah leans forward, his expression serious. Tell her the truth. Before I can answer, my phone buzzes. Victoria's name flashes on the screen. I stifle a groan. Esther, I need you at the estate in an hour. The wedding planner's coming, and someone has to take notes. I have work. Oh, don't worry, I already called your boss, he's giving you the morning off. Isn't that thoughtful of him? Of course she did. Victoria has always treated my time as if it belonged to her. Fine, I sigh, shooting Jonah an exasperated look. I'll be there. Perfect, and wear something professional. The planner is very high-end. The call cuts off before I can protest. Jonah gestures at my phone. See, this is why you need to tell her. It's not that simple, I mutter, setting my coffee down. You didn't grow up with her and Mom. Every time I achieved something, Victoria had to do it bigger, better. When I got into college, she got into a better one. When I started my career, she landed a more prestigious job. But this time, you've got her beat. That estate is yours, fair and square. A knock at the door cuts him off. I open it to find Frankie, a family friend, holding a stack of mail. This ended up at my place by mistake, she says, handing me an envelope. It's from Harrison Mills Real Estate. My heart stutters. The envelope is addressed to me, but the return address is the estate on Maple Grove. Thanks, I say quickly, shoving the envelope into my bag before Frankie can get curious. She gives me a puzzled look but doesn't press. As soon as she's gone, Jonah lets out a low whistle. That was close. Too close, I mutter, grabbing my coat. I need to get to the mansion before Victoria decides to send out a search party. The drive to Maple Grove is second nature by now, every turn bringing me closer to the house I fell in love with months ago. Victoria's sleek sports car is already parked in the driveway when I arrive. She steps out of the front door, clipboard in hand, a satisfied grin on her face. The planner's inside, she announces. She's thinking crystal curtains for the foyer. Isn't that absolutely stunning? I follow her through the front doors, my front doors, into my carefully restored entryway, which she apparently wants to turn into a glitzy wonderland. Victoria, I begin cautiously, don't you think it would be wise to wait until the sale is final before making any decisions? She waves off my concern with a flick of her hand. Oh, please, it's basically a done deal. Elliot's lawyer is finalizing everything. Before I can respond, the wedding planner, a sharply dressed woman named Rachel, strides in holding a stack of fabric swatches. Now, about the grand ballroom. It's not a ballroom, I interrupt, it's the main living room, and those walls are original Victorian wallpaper. Both women turn to stare at me. And how exactly do you know that? Victoria asks, her eyes narrowing. I scramble for an answer. I did some research, I say casually. You asked me to help, didn't you? Well, regardless, Rachel continues, we'll need to cover those walls. They don't quite fit the aesthetic we're going for. I clench my jaw so tightly it hurts. For the next hour, I endure the torture of listening to them discuss tearing up carpets, painting over intricate woodwork, and drowning my carefully restored windows in layers of heavy drapery. Oh, Victoria suddenly claps her hands together. We should check the deed for any renovation restrictions. Elliot's lawyer sent it over. A cold rush of panic spreads through me. The deed. It's in my email somewhere, she mumbles, scrolling through her phone. I can practically feel the envelope in my bag burning a hole through the leather. One glance inside, and she'd know the truth. After a few seconds, Victoria sighs. Never mind, the lawyer will deal with it. She turns back to me, handing over a paper filled with her looping handwriting. Here, I need you to start calling vendors. I've made a list. I glance at the paper. Florists, caterers, musicians. Enough work to keep me occupied for weeks. Victoria, I say slowly, maybe you should hold off. She cuts me off with a dismissive wave. Stop worrying so much. This is happening. The mansion is mine, and it's going to be perfect. I glance around the house, my house, the one I chose, the one I worked so hard for, and something inside me shifts. You're right, I say, my voice smooth and even. Everything will be exactly as it should be. Victoria beams, mistaking my words for agreement, but Jonah was right. The truth was going to come out, and when it did, it would be on my terms, not because of a misdelivered envelope or a legal slip-up. I fold Victoria's vendor list neatly and tuck it into my bag, right next to the real estate envelope. June couldn't come fast enough. 6 months ago, I stood in this very foyer, the one Victoria now planned to smother in crystal and silk. Miss Peters, the real estate agent, watched as I ran my fingers over the polished mahogany banister. The asking price is firm, she said, but given your financial history and the bank's pre-approval, I'll take it, I interrupted, unable to tear my eyes away from the grand staircase. She hesitated. Would you like to discuss this with your family first? I shook my head. No, this is just for me. Now, sitting at the dining table for Sunday brunch, that memory feels like another lifetime. Victoria's voice slices through my thoughts. The renovation team starts tomorrow, she announces, spreading cream cheese onto her bagel. They say they can completely transform the first floor in just 2 weeks. Mom's face lights up. Oh, sweetheart, you've always had such an eye for design. Remember when you redecorated your college dorm? Everyone copied you. I push my eggs around my plate. Actually, historic homes often have strict renovation guidelines. Victoria waves me off. Elliot's handling all the boring legal stuff. Besides, money talks. Speaking of money, Mom chimes in, beaming. Victoria just got another promotion, Senior VP of Marketing. I force a smile. That's impressive. When did that happen? Last week, Victoria replies, casually brushing imaginary lint from her sleeve. I would have mentioned it at dinner, but I was too busy celebrating the mansion. Of course she was. Victoria's life is a perfectly curated series of achievements, each announcement timed for maximum impact. Mom turns to me, her smile dimming slightly. And how's your job going, Esther? You're still at that little publishing house? Before I can respond, my phone buzzes. Jonah. Sorry, I have to take this. I push back from the table, grateful for the excuse to step outside onto the porch. Perfect timing, I say, exhaling. That bad, huh? Jonah asks. Listen, I just drove past the mansion. There's a construction crew outside. My stomach drops. What? They're unloading equipment. Look serious. She can't do this, I whisper, pacing the porch. The papers aren't even finalized yet. Then stop her, Jonah says. Go over there, Anne. The sliding door creaks open behind me. I end the call quickly. Rosalind, my cousin, steps outside. You okay? She asks, shutting the door behind her. You looked like you were about to explode in there. I'm fine. No, you're not. She leans against the railing. I heard Victoria talking to Mom earlier. She said you're just jealous because you could never afford a place like that. A laugh escapes me, bitter, humorless. Is that what she thinks? Rosalind studies me carefully. There's something you're not telling us, isn't there? Inside, Victoria's voice rings through the house, gushing about her grand plans for my home. My home. You know what's funny? I murmur. I didn't buy that house to prove anything. I bought it because the moment I stepped inside, I felt like I finally had a place that was mine. A place where I didn't have to compete with Victoria. A place where I could just be. Rosalind's eyes widen. Wait, are you saying? The sliding door opens again. There you are, Victoria exclaims. Esther, I need you at the mansion this afternoon. The florist is bringing samples, and someone has to sign for them. Can't Elliot do it? He's in meetings all day. Come on, you're not doing anything important. I meet her gaze, a slow smile creeping across my lips. Oh, I say, you have no idea. I feel Rosalind stiffen beside me, but I force a smile. Of course, Victoria, whatever you need. She gives a satisfied nod before disappearing back inside. As soon as she's out of earshot, Rosalind grips my arm. You need to tell them. I will, I murmur, watching through the window as Mom clings to Victoria's every word. Just not yet. Back inside, Victoria is in her element, commanding attention. This wedding will be the event of the year. Everyone who matters will be there. Mom dabs at her eyes. I'm so proud of you. You've worked so hard for this. I think of the deed tucked away in my safe, the long hours, the sacrifices, the nights I spent living on instant noodles just to save for the down payment, the dreams I had for that house, my house. Esther, Victoria calls, since you'll be at the mansion later, can you let the construction crew in? They need to start stripping that hideous wallpaper. Something in me snaps. No. The conversation halts. Victoria's expression falters. What did you just say? I said no. I stand taller, my voice firm. I have plans this afternoon. Find someone else to cater to your every whim. Victoria, I'm done. I grab my purse and walk out, ignoring Mom's startled gasp and Victoria's stunned silence. As I drive away, my phone buzzes with angry messages, but for the first time in years, I feel free. Let them wonder, let them stew. In less than 3 months, they'll understand exactly why I finally said no. The next morning, the sound of power tools fills the air as I pull up to the mansion. My hands tighten on the steering wheel as I watch workers haul out pieces of intricate crown molding, my crown molding, and toss them into a dumpster like trash. I throw my car into park and jump out. Stop. A foreman looks up from his clipboard. Can I help you, ma'am? what are you doing? I demand, my pulse hammering. Following the renovation plans, he says, barely glancing up. Are you at the wedding party? Before I can respond, Victoria's voice floats from the front steps. Esther, what are you doing here? She's wearing a hard hat, more like a fashion statement than safety gear, with a ridiculous pink bow stuck to the side. I was driving by, I say, forcing calm into my voice, and saw them destroying the house. Victoria laughs. Destroying? Please, we're upgrading. Wait until you see what we're doing with the library. A cold weight settles in my stomach. The library? She sweeps inside, expecting me to follow. I do, past workers carrying paint cans and drop cloths, until we reach what used to be my favorite room. The bookshelves are gone. The floor-to-ceiling oak shelves, the ones that made this room feel like magic, have been ripped out, leaving behind ghostly outlines on the walls. We're turning this into the gift room, Victoria says brightly. The shelves were so dreary and outdated. Elliot agrees this will be much more practical. My throat tightens. Where are the shelves? She waves a hand. Probably in the dumpster. They were just cheap wood anyway. I grip the doorframe to steady myself. That cheap wood was hand-carved oak from 1892. I'd spent weeks researching its history. Victoria, I say through clenched teeth, you can't just. Oh, she claps her hands, cutting me off. Speaking of history, the workers found this weird old document behind one of the shelves. Looked important but so dusty. She gestures to a table where an old, framed document rests. My breath catches. The original deed. Dated 1890. I'd been looking for it for months. We should probably toss it, Victoria muses, reaching for it. No, I snatch it up before she can touch it. It's historically significant. I'll take care of it. She shrugs, whatever. Oh, did you hear? Elliot's parents are flying in next week to see the mansion. I've told them all about the amazing changes we're making. A loud crash from upstairs makes us both jump. I spin toward the staircase. What was that? Victoria barely glances up. Probably just the crew removing those ghastly stained glass windows in the master bedroom. We're replacing them with modern ones. I freeze. Those windows, the ones that painted the room in soft, colored light every morning, were the reason I fell in love with this house. Victoria. From downstairs, Elliot's voice booms. The contractor needs to go over the budget with us. I stop on the stairs, watching as he steps inside, looking less than thrilled. Budget? Victoria's voice tightens. What do you mean? Daddy said he'd cover everything. Elliot exhales. These renovations are way over budget. Maybe we should hold off on some of the changes until after the wedding. Hold off? Victoria's voice pitches higher. This is my perfect day. I refuse to compromise. Our perfect day, Elliot corrects, his voice quieter now. From my spot on the stairs, I see Rosalind slip inside, lingering near the doorway. She must have come looking for me. Instead, she stops, listening. Victoria's arms cross. The house needs to be perfect. I won't have people thinking we can't afford the best, especially not my sister. Elliot frowns. What does Esther have to do with this? Victoria laughs, sharp and cutting. Oh, please, she's always been jealous of me. You should see the way she looks at this house, like she wishes it was hers, as if she could ever afford something this incredible. I hear Rosalind's quiet intake of breath. That's harsh, Elliot says. Esther's always been supportive. Because she has to be, Victoria huffs. She's nothing but my plain, boring little sister who'll probably end up alone with a dozen cats and her stupid books. The antique banister creaks under my tightening grip. Victoria. Rosalind steps forward. Do you even hear yourself? Oh, don't be so dramatic. Victoria waves her off. It's not like I said anything untrue. Now, about these renovations. I've heard enough. I walk down the stairs slowly, making sure each step echoes through the room. Victoria spins around, her face losing color. Esther, I didn't know you were still here. Obviously. I clutch the deed to my chest, leveling her with a stare. Don't worry about the budget, Victoria. Something tells me these renovations won't be happening much longer. I turn and walk out, Rosalind at my side. Let Victoria wonder, let her panic. In just a few weeks, she'd realize exactly how wrong she was about her plain, boring little sister. Behind us, I hear Elliot's voice. What did she mean by that? Victoria's response is lost beneath the sound of another crash upstairs, like the house itself is fighting back. That evening, I sit in Jonah's living room, the rescued deed on the table between us. She's tearing it apart, I say, voice hollow, the windows, the bookshelves, everything that made the house special. Jonah leans forward. Then it's time. The wedding's in 2 weeks. How long are you going to wait? Before I can answer, my phone buzzes. Victoria's name flashes on the screen. Jonah raises an eyebrow. Ignore it. I stare at the screen, my heartbeat steady. Then I press decline. I shake my head but pick up the call anyway. Hello? Took you long enough. Victoria's sharp voice pierces through the phone. I've been calling for hours. We have a little situation with the wedding. What kind of situation? Elliot's lawyer is being difficult about the house. Something about the deed not being clear. Anyway, I need you to call the real estate office first thing tomorrow and get it sorted. I glance at Jonah, who raises an eyebrow and silently mouths, tell her. Victoria, there's something you should know about the house. Oh, and the wedding planner quit. Can you believe it? She had the nerve to say something about unethical renovations and legal concerns. So, now you'll have to take over the planning. What? No, Great, I'll send you all her files. Oh, and Mom wants you to give a speech at the reception. Nothing too long, just talk about how I've always been your biggest inspiration. A laugh escapes me, sharp and incredulous. You, my inspiration? Obviously, I mean, just look at me, the career, the mansion, Elliot. The mansion isn't. Speaking of Elliot, she barrels on, he's being so difficult about the renovation budget. Could you talk to him? Make him understand how important this is? Important? My voice rises as I pace Jonah's living room. You mean like the outdated bookshelves were important? Or those hideous stained glass windows? Why are you being so difficult? This is my house and my wedding. The words slip out before I can stop them. The house is mine. Silence. What did you just say? Victoria's voice drops to a dangerous whisper. Nothing, I have to go. I end the call, my hands trembling. Jonah leans back, crossing his arms. Well, that was almost the truth. Before I can respond, my phone rings again. Elliot. Esther? His voice is cautious. Victoria's really upset. She said you made some strange comment about the house? I inhale slowly. Elliot, have you actually seen the deed to the mansion? Her lawyer's handling it. Why? Maybe you should ask to read it yourself. A second call beeps in. Mom, I sent it to voicemail. Elliot hesitates. Esther, is there something I should know? Before I can answer, I hear Victoria's voice in the background. Is that my sister? Give me the phone. There's a scuffle, then she's back. Listen here, you little. I hang up. Jonah snorts. That went well. My phone erupts with messages. Mom, call your sister right now. Victoria, how dare you try to ruin this for me? Elliot, we need to talk. Rosalind, stay strong, she had this coming. I exhale, I need a drink. Jonah heads toward the kitchen but stops when someone pounds on the front door. Esther, Victoria's voice shrieks from the other side. I know you're in there, open up. I peek through the peephole. There she stands, dressed in her wedding planning best, gripping her infamous rhinestone-studded clipboard like a weapon. Go away, Victoria. Not until you explain yourself. This is my house, my wedding, my perfect day. I yank the door open. Perfect? You're destroying a historic home, pushing everyone away. And for what? Just to prove you're better than me? Her eyes narrow. I am better than you. I always have been. While you were hiding behind books, I was out there getting everything I wanted. I laugh, low and humorless. Everything you wanted? Or everything you stole from me? That's ridiculous. Is it? I fold my arms. Then why did you try to take my house? Her face loses all color. What are you talking about? I walk over to the coffee table, pick up the framed deed, and hold it out. Read it carefully. She snatches it, her eyes darting over the words, and then, I see it, the exact moment the truth hits her. This isn't possible. Her hands shake. This says I'm not the owner. That's right, I say quietly, I bought it 6 months ago. She looks up at me, her flawless makeup smudged with tears. Why didn't you tell me? I sigh, would it have made a difference? You don't listen, Victoria, you just take. She stumbles back, gripping her clipboard like a lifeline. I need to call. Your lawyer? I tilt my head. Good idea, because all those renovations you ordered, they're illegal, and they stop now. She spins on her heel and runs, her expensive shoes clacking against the floor. Jonah rests a hand on my shoulder. You okay? I watch her disappear down the hallway. No, but I will be. The war had officially begun. And this time, I wasn't backing down. The next morning, Mom is waiting outside my door, arms crossed, face set in that no-nonsense expression I've dreaded since childhood. "We need to talk," she says as I sip my coffee. "About how Victoria was illegally renovating my house?" Mom flinches. "Don't be dramatic. This is clearly a misunderstanding." I unlock the door and step aside to let her in. "The only misunderstanding," I say, setting my mug down, "is Victoria thinking she could take my property." "Your property?" Mom laughs. "Sweetheart, how could you possibly afford?" I walk to my safe, twist the dial, and pull out the paperwork, bank statements, loan approvals, the sale agreement, the deed. "Want to keep going?" Her hands tremble as she flips through the documents. "But, this doesn't make sense. You never said anything." I arch a brow. "Would you have listened? Or would you have told Victoria, who would have made sure to snatch it first?" "That's not fair." I grab my phone and hit play on a video of Victoria at the mansion, barking orders as workers ripped apart my beloved library. "Look at what she's done, Mom, to my house." Before she can respond, the doorbell rings. It's Frankie, shifting uncomfortably. "Sorry to interrupt, but Victoria's losing it at the mansion. She's threatening to sue everyone." Mom sighs and grabs her purse. "We need to handle this." I scoff. "Handle this? Like you've handled everything else, by letting Victoria do whatever she wants? She's getting married in 2 weeks. Not in my house, she's not." Mom's jaw tightens. "Esther Marie, you listen to me. 300 guests, high-profile people, you can't just—" "Actually, I can. I hold my ground, and I will. Think about what you're doing to this family." "That does it." I slam my coffee cup down. "What I'm doing? What about what she's done? What she always does?" Frankie steps between us. "Maybe we should all just go to the mansion, talk this out, calmly." When we arrive, Victoria is in my driveway, shrieking into her phone while Elliot tries, and fails, to calm her down. Construction workers are packing up their tools, looking confused. "You can't just stop working," Victoria snaps. I fold my arms. "Oh, yes, they can. I'm the one paying you," Victoria shouts at the workers. "Actually," I correct her, stepping forward, "I've been the one handling the payments through the construction company's account, and I just shut it down." She spins around to face me, her face twisted in fury. "You spiteful, jealous—" "Victoria," Elliot interrupts, grabbing her arm, "that's enough." She yanks herself free. "She's ruining everything, Mom. Tell her she has to let me have my wedding here." Mom hesitates, but before she can speak, I raise a hand to stop her. "No, this time, you're not stepping in to fix it. This is between me and Victoria." "Fine." Victoria's voice trembles with anger, mascara streaking her cheeks. "Let's talk about how you secretly bought this house just to get back at me." "I bought it because I loved it," I say, my voice steady, "because, for once, I wanted something that was mine." "Nothing is just yours," she snaps. "You're nothing without me. Who even are you besides Victoria's little sister?" The words sting, but they also bring clarity. "That's all I've ever been to you, isn't it?" I say softly. "A shadow, a backup, someone to clean up after you, to follow your lead." Victoria glares. "I gave you purpose. I made you part of something important." Elliot takes a step back, as if finally seeing the real Victoria. "Do you hear yourself right now?" he asks, his voice quiet but firm. She turns on him. "Not you too. She's turning everyone against me." "No," I say, standing tall, "you did that all by yourself." Mom finally speaks up. "Girls, please, we can figure this out." "Esther, surely you can." "Stop it, Mom." Rosalind's voice cuts through the tension as she steps up beside me. "For once, stop making excuses for Victoria." Victoria laughs, but there's no humor in it. "Oh, of course, you're taking her side, suddenly. It's all about perfect little Esther." Elliot shakes his head. "No one's picking sides, but maybe this wedding should be postponed." "Postponed?" Victoria's voice rises to a shriek. "Never." She rounds on me again. "Esther, if you don't let me have my wedding here, I swear." "You'll what?" I challenge. "Sue me?" "Go ahead, I have all the paperwork. Or maybe you'll just run to Mom and Dad like always?" Victoria's breath hitches. "Face it, Victoria," I say, my voice unwavering. "You've lost." Her face goes pale. For the first time, I see something unfamiliar in her eyes. Fear. "The wedding is in 2 weeks," she whispers. "Not here." "It's not." Victoria looks around wildly, at Elliot, at Mom, at the construction workers packing up their tools. This isn't over, she hisses before storming off to her car. As she peels out of the driveway, Mom starts after her, but Rosalind grabs her arm. Let her go, Rosalind says. She needs to learn that she can't always get her way. I glance back at my mansion, my home. It's damaged, but still standing. The battle wasn't over. But for the first time, I was winning. The day of the wedding, dark clouds loom overhead. I stand at the edge of my driveway, watching as caterers and decorators bustle around like ants. I can't believe she actually did this, Jonah mutters beside me. Victoria had sent out new invitations yesterday, insisting the wedding was happening at my mansion. Your sister's got guts, Rosalind adds, crossing her arms. Half the town is already here. I glance at my phone. 3 missed calls from Mom. 10 from Victoria. A text from Elliot. I tried to stop her. I'm sorry. Ready? Jonah asks. I tighten my grip on the folder containing the deed, legal notices, and a cease and desist order. Let's do this. As we step forward, Victoria stands at the center of the chaos in her extravagant wedding gown, barking orders like a general in battle. The floral arch goes there. No. Higher. Where are the crystal curtains? She stops mid-command when she spots me. You're not dressed, she says, eyeing my jeans and blazer. The bridesmaids' dresses are upstairs. I'm not your bridesmaid, Victoria, I say, my voice carrying across the crowd. I'm the owner of this house, and you're trespassing. A hush falls over the guests. Don't be ridiculous, she hisses. You're embarrassing yourself. Am I? I turn to face the crowd. I think everyone deserves to know the truth. Esther, don't you dare. This isn't Victoria's wedding venue, I announce, raising my voice. This is my home. Murmurs ripple through the guests. She's lying, Victoria shrieks. This is my house, my wedding. Actually, Elliot steps forward, adjusting his tie. I've seen the deed. Esther's telling the truth. Victoria's head snaps toward him. Whose side are you on? The side of honesty, he replies. Mom pushes through the crowd. Girls, please, the guests are watching. Good, I say. Let them watch. Let them see exactly who you are, Victoria. I am the bride, she screams, her voice cracking. This is my day. No, I pull out the police report. This is trespassing. 2 officers step forward. Ma'am, one says, we need you to clear the premises. Victoria looks around, desperation in her eyes. But the caterers, the guests, they were never supposed to be here, I say, and you knew it. You ruined everything, she shrieks. Jealous? Elliot's voice is sharp. Victoria, you destroyed her home, you stole from her, you lied to me, and for what? I deserve this house, she yells. I deserve everything. The crowd gasps as she grabs a vase and hurls it at me. Jonah yanks me aside just in time. The vase shatters against the front door. That's enough, the officer says. Everyone needs to leave, now. You can't do this. Victoria whirls on Mom. Tell her she can't do this. But Mom just shakes her head, tears in her eyes. I should have stopped this years ago. She turns to me. I'm sorry, Esther, I failed you both. Victoria stares at her, betrayal flashing across her face. She turns to Elliot, reaching for his hand. Elliot, please. But he's already taking off his wedding ring. It's over, Victoria. The crowd disperses, whispering. Caterers pack up. Florists carry away their arrangements. Victoria stands alone in her ruined wedding dress, mascara streaking down her cheeks. You destroyed everything, she whispers. No, I say quietly, you did that all on your own. She turns and flees. Mom follows after her. As the last guests leave, Rosalind puts a hand on my shoulder. Are you okay? I glance at my home, decorations half-hung, petals scattered, a shattered vase at my feet. I will be, I say. Some things can't be fixed, Jonah murmurs, watching Mom's car disappear down the road. Maybe not, I admit, but I'm done cleaning up Victoria's mess. I understand. I pick up a fallen rose, twirling it between my fingers. The house, at least that, I can save. As the storm finally breaks, rain pours down, washing away the remnants of Victoria's almost wedding. I stand in the doorway, watching as the water erases the chaos of the day. For the first time since I bought this house, I feel completely, undeniably seen, no longer hidden in Victoria's shadow, no longer the quiet, accommodating little sister. Just me. Standing in my own light. In my own home. Finally free. A few days later, the doorbell rings as I oversee the restoration of my library shelves. Through the window, I see Mom standing on the porch, clutching a familiar-looking photo album. The workers are doing an incredible job, she says as I let her in, her gaze trailing over the carefully restored oak shelves. They're fixing what never should have been broken. Mom runs her fingers along the freshly polished banister. I brought something for you. She opens the album, revealing photographs I've never seen before, a little girl with pigtails reading under a tree, building blanket forts, scribbling stories in a notebook. Where did these come from? I ask. I took them, she says softly, all of them. While I was busy celebrating Victoria's competitions and performances, I was quietly capturing your moments too. She wipes her eyes. I just never shared them. Why? Because Victoria would have found a way to make them about her, like she always did, and I let her, because it was easier than facing her outbursts. She closes the album gently. I was wrong, Esther, so wrong. Before I can respond, the doorbell rings again. This time, it's Elliot. Sorry to interrupt, he says, shifting uncomfortably. I found these in Victoria's things while I was packing up. He hands me a stack of old papers, my high school stories and poems. She kept these? I murmur. She used to read them when she thought no one was watching, he said they were better than anything she could write. I stare at the pages, remembering how Victoria had mocked these very stories at family gatherings. Have you spoken to her? Mom asks. Elliot exhales. She's at a friend's beach house, won't talk to anyone, except her therapist. He offers a small smile. Maybe that's a good thing. A car pulls up outside, Rosalind and Jonah, arms full of paint samples. Are we having a family meeting? Rosalind asks, glancing between us. Something like that, I say. Perfect timing, Jonah grins, holding up the swatches. We need input on the original color scheme. As we debate shades of cream and antique white, the doorbell rings once more. I freeze. Through the window, I see her. Victoria. No makeup, hair pulled back simply. She looks younger, like the sister I remember before competition and jealousy took over. Her gaze drifts past me, to the newly restored shelves. The library looks right again. It does. She hesitates, then hands me an envelope. Inside are receipts for the renovations, along with a check. I sold my car, she explains, and a few other things. It won't cover everything, but... Victoria. Let me finish, she says, voice unsteady. I've been talking to my therapist about why I always needed to be the center of everything, why I couldn't stand seeing you have something that was just yours. She looks down. I was scared that if you started shining, no one would see me anymore. I exhale slowly. That's not how light works. She looks up, eyes glassy with unshed tears. It multiplies, I tell her. It doesn't take away. She swallows hard. I know that now, or... I'm trying to. Her eyes flick to Elliot before quickly looking away. I have a lot to learn. Mom steps forward, tentative. Would you like to come in? We're picking paint colors. Victoria shakes her head. Not yet. I need to earn that. She turns to leave, then pauses. Esther, that story you wrote in 10th grade? The one about the two sisters and the magic mirror? I nod. I submitted it to my college literary magazine, she admits, under my name. I nod again. I know. I saw the publication. Your name, my words. She lets out a quiet, bitter laugh. The irony is, if you had just asked, I would have helped you write your own. Maybe, I whisper. She wipes her eyes. Maybe someday, you still can. Then she walks away. But this time, it doesn't feel like running. It feels like space. Jonah holds up 2 paint swatches. So, original cream or antique white? I look at my family, Mom with her hidden memories, Elliot with his quiet honesty, Rosalind and Jonah with their unwavering support. At my home, slowly healing. Neither, I say. Jonah lifts an eyebrow. Neither? I think it's time for something new, I say, something that honors the past, but isn't afraid to shine. Mom squeezes my hand. Like you. Through the window, I watch Victoria's retreating figure. The shadow between us still lingers. But it's shifting. Maybe one day, it will be gone. Or maybe it will stay, a reminder of who we were. And who we're becoming. Either way. I refuse to live in it anymore. I turn back to my family. Let's get to work. This house won't restore itself. And neither will we. but for the first time, I believe. Both are possible. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video, stay tuned.